I think the biggest limiting belief is just thinking that there's these leagues and you're out of a woman's league. I mean, in a sense, you could be, because an average guy might not be able to attract, let's say, a Victoria's Secret model because she's going to go for someone who has status. But that's an extreme example. But I mean, a guy will just kind of walk down the street and see a cute girl and go, that girl's never going to like me. I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not rich enough, or I'm too short. Just all these limiting beliefs that prevent them from even trying. And I think that's the problem there.
Tripp, my brother, welcome to the Superhuman Life.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Really excited about today too, man. And first off, congrats on a recent milestone that you hit with the YouTube channel, 1 million subs.
Yes.
Talk to us. Yeah. Tell me about, I know you've been at this for a decade plus, man. Was that a target that you had for a while? And if so, what did it feel like when hitting 1 million subs?
Oh, man. I mean, it felt amazing. It's like I even get choked up just thinking about it. We're talking 10 years of putting out videos every single week without missing a week. Well, I guess except for one period of 3 weeks where I actually stopped putting out content altogether because I locked myself in a room and wrote a book. And so I didn't want any. Oh, wow, you're holding it. Nice.
I got you, brother. Told you I came prepared.
Did I send that to you?
No, bought it.
Well, I appreciate that. Dude, yeah, you have come prepared. So that book I wrote May and a little bit of June 2018. So anyways, I put out videos every week. I paused at that point so I can just be super focused. And it's just, it's funny because in about year 2 or year 3 of putting out videos, I was looking at that 1 million subscriber and I was just like, wow, it seems so far away, but I know I can get there. I just got to keep doing this. Like I was confident I would get there, but at that same time, so far away. So it was very surreal to have a moment when it happened. And it was cool because I was with my wife, and this was about 3 months ago, and we were in this cabin in the Smoky Mountains, and we did not plan it to be there, but it was a cool moment because we were just, tucked away in this quiet little cabin with poor Wi-Fi, just enough to kind of see it change. And it was nice to be able to celebrate in just this natural environment, and it helps you reflect on kind of the work that you've done. And yeah, one of the things I talk about on my videos and podcasts and things is self-esteem. And I always say that one of the things that builds self-esteem is keeping the promises that you make to yourself. So that was a big self-esteem builder. It's not the vanity of it, of look at me, I have 1 million subscribers, I'm so cool. It was all of the work that I did to get to that point. And I'm proud of myself for getting to that point. And so it's interesting how I was experiencing the exact thing that I teach guys. It's like, yeah, by the way, you don't have to get 1 million subscribers to build self-esteem. It's more of all of the little pieces of action that I took throughout the 10 years of doing it that still built my self-esteem along the way, and said, wow, look what I'm capable of. That's really cool. So long story short, it was awesome.
No, that's incredible, brother. I think that is one of our core philosophies here as well. Self-confidence is directly tied to your ability to keep the small promises. And if you're struggling with belief, confidence, esteem, like look at the previous track record that you hold with yourself. And I think it's going to reveal a lot to why you're struggling. So I love that you kind of tied that piece into, the experience in the moment for you. Did the channel take off? 10 years ago, like right away, like did it catch some early steam and momentum, or was it years and years of grinding away and you kind of hit this inflection point?
Crazy grind and roller coaster. It was, in the very big, well, first off, I actually had a whole other channel that I started, which is kind of an interesting story. is the channel that has 1 million subscribers is called Tripp Advice, which is my company and all my handles across social media, Tripp Advice, right? But it's it was the second YouTube channel that I did because the first one didn't take off. So I had a channel called The Social Rules, and it was this kind of funny, fun, entertaining, like a segmented show where there's different segments about dating or sex or relationships. And I put a lot of work into that, a lot of man hours into that, and it just bombed. Do you have anything like that where you had a big project or did something big and just didn't go anywhere and you had to change
Dude,
things
I
completely?
spent 6 months back in 2017 writing my first ebook. It was a 187 page, called it Masthetic Muscle. I wanted to be Ben Pakulski 2.0. Ben Pakulski is the creator of MI40, world famous bodybuilder, #2 in the Olympia or #2 in the Arnold Classic. I knew Ben pretty well. And I remember writing the book. I would have his program up on one screen, and I'm just kind of like modeling exactly what he's doing. 6 months of like hours a day, writing the nutrition, writing the programming, all these things. We launched it to an email list of a few thousand. Crickets. It took 3 weeks to get the first sale, and it was from my hairdresser. Bought it for her boyfriend. Finally, about 6 weeks into it, we got our first organic sale. And that thing has now gone off to sell a few thousand copies, but it wasn't worth the 6 months of work that I put into it. And this is why a lot of things we do now, like we'll launch it first, like we'll see if there's a market for it, and then build the product on the back end once we've proven that it's going to convert.
Yeah, that's smart marketing, right? You can't sell something people don't want. So yeah, yeah, and so that's kind of what happened. Related to that is I created some actually very much related to what you said. There is I started this channel called The Social Rules, and it's just kind of what I wanted to do. I didn't know any better. It's like, oh, I just thought I'd create something entertaining and get a lot of views, and then I can advertise my services as a dating coach, and it just didn't take off. And so it's interesting because one could say, well, things don't take off right away. So I could have kept going with it, but I soon learned in terms of how marketing works is that that was not going to be the best way to be able to build an audience and build a coaching practice. So I ended up starting a whole new channel, which to me was funny. Is like, oh, this is going to be so much easier because the new channel was just me talking to the camera and giving advice. Where before I was producing all these crazy segments and casting and doing location scouts, and just it was insane, a lot of work. And now it's like, oh, I'll just record some videos of me sitting on my balcony. And what was interesting was that also did not take off right away because again, I was not following the rules of marketing. I was just talking about whatever I wanted to talk about. And so my videos weren't really getting any traction because no one cared about those specific topics. And so after learning more about marketing and understanding that in order to get attention, you need to do stuff that people care about and want to learn about or have pain points around, then after about 3 months of the YouTube channel, I started to create videos based around that. And that's when I started to get a few videos that started to go bigger. Not like viral by any means, but where I was getting a couple hundred views a video, finally one shot up to like 10,000. And so it started to work, and then it started to snowball, and then I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like all I need to do is figure out what do guys want to learn about and then teach that thing and then title the videos appropriately to that. And then boom, it took off. But then there was dips, there was YouTube changes, it's Google, the algorithm changes, but also, I've been doing it for a long time. Other dating coaches come in, so people start to learn from other dating coaches. There's competition, and then there's just the entertainment factor. Now, I mean, anyone can just start a YouTube channel and have crazy mind-blowing videos, and you don't have to be this massive production company in Hollywood to produce something like that. So I've learned, okay, I got to make my videos a little bit different. You can't do the same thing all the time. You got to change things up. You got to maybe change your location. You got to change a little bit about what you're talking about or have different guests. So it's It's an ever evolving project that I'm still working on, trying to keep it up and try to grow it even more. And yeah, it's about going through those ups and downs. It wasn't just like a straight trajectory up where it was like, oh wow, I got a million subscribers in a year. It took 10 years to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the grind, it shows the passion for the actual work, like that you've been sticking with this for 10 years, and now you've reached this milestone that so few creators reach. Was coaching a part of it right out of the gate? Like, was the intent to start the channel to grow a coaching business, or did that come later on?
Yeah, no, that was always the intent, which is funny because I've had people over the years, and not their fault. What do they know? That I was just a YouTuber, I just putting out dating advice. But no, the intention behind everything that I've ever done under the brand name of Trip Advice was to build a coaching practice to help guys with dating and meeting women, getting over shyness, having more choice in dating. Like that was always the thing. And so the YouTube channel and my podcast and my Instagram and everything is all a marketing tool to show guys, hey, we can help you and there is a solution for you. So that's always been part of it. Now the cool thing is, very rarely do I feel like I'm ever working, which is awesome. This wasn't just like an entrepreneurial business idea. Like it's funny. I guess I am an entrepreneur by definition. I started my own business, but I don't really consider myself an entrepreneur. I feel like an entrepreneur is someone who, is trying to think of ways that they can make money. What businesses would work to make money? And they start a bunch of businesses to do that. They're not necessarily 100% passionate about that. Some are, but to me, it's like everything. Like, of course, I want to make money. That's what a business is. The money is the blood of a business. But I'm passionate about it. Like I love it. I love doing it. I always, since I was a kid, I always knew I was going to do something. Whatever I was going to do, I wanted to make sure that I absolutely loved it. I think maybe that comes from my dad, because my dad, he I always knew he was doing a job that he didn't love. And I don't begrudge him for that at all. I mean, it's amazing. He went to work and made a salary so he can provide for his family. And that's very honorable. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to be the person who went to work just to go to work because that's what they had to do. I think that's where it comes from. And so I just wanted to do something that I loved and
Yeah,
be
I
able
think you would fall
to live
under
the life
maybe
I
the
want.
category of like a lifestyle entrepreneur, right? It's like you build a business.
Yeah.
Now, has maybe some of the financial success that you've achieved exceeded maybe what some of the early expectations were?
Yes, 100%. I did not start it to specifically make a bunch of money. I started it because I was passionate about it. And then what ended up happening was I just learned that there were so many guys who needed help with this that, oh, wow, this is also a very lucrative business. And so, who doesn't want to hear that or, experience that? And so it is a passion of mine to grow the business and and grow it so big that it is making a lot of money. But really, it's like the idea is how many. Imagine if the business is making multi millions of dollars. Imagine how many men we're helping in that, and I get to feel good about that. I get to go to sleep at night going, it's all worth it. It's like. By the way, I don't want to put down anyone who sells something that's, I just saw a TikTok where a guy says he sold fidget spinners for like $20 a piece and they cost him 250, and then like 3 months he made like 1.3 million dollars. That's awesome. Yeah, sure, maybe I don't know, if I had the opportunity I would do that. Not today. If I didn't have a passion over something and there was a moment to make money, absolutely, that'd be so cool. But I doubt that guy is feeling really good about the fact that everyone has a fidget spinner. Again, nothing against him, but I want to live my life in a way where, yes, making money, but also doing it in a way that I know is changing guys' lives. And there is no feeling like the feeling I get when I get a text message from a client, or I have coaches who work at TripAdvice too, and they send me a text message of a client, or I see a video testimonial, or just hear a story from my coaches of what happens with these guys who end up getting amazing results. Guys who finally become confident and finally feel good about who they are and finally get to date the kinds of women they want. I mean, you're a guy, you understand that when you get female attention and you didn't get that before, there's just nothing like it.
Yeah, I resonate a lot with that, man. My first company I started back in 2011 was purely a cash grab. I saw an incredible opportunity in an industry that I was connected with, had contacts, had resources, had the ability with very minimal investments out the gate to build a business that in the first, fiscal year, the first 12 months, we did 360 plus thousand top line revenue over the span of like 4.5 years. It was a multi-million-dollar business, but it was not fulfilling at all. I was selling concerts and tickets to, sporting events and things that I enjoyed doing personally, but it's not like it fulfilled me at the end of the day. It's like, yeah, I sold, 1,000 tickets to a show. I was like, great, 1,000 people are going to have the experience, but they would have got it whether or not I was there or not. So, this second time around for us is very similar to you. Like, we're focusing on the impact, we're focusing on the lives changed, knowing that the income, the revenue that we generate is a byproduct of the service that we're giving into the world. I want to get into, some of the tactical stuff here through your coaching and your frameworks and stuff. Where did the passion, Tripp, come, 10 years ago to want to help men? I mean, I hear it in your voice like that. There's this deep rooted passion to help men. Was that because it was something you struggled with in your own life, and then overcoming some of these struggles, doubts, and insecurities made you realize like there's an opportunity now to help other men? So yeah, what was kind of the genesis for wanting to work with men?
Yeah, basically, you just said it right there. It was my own personal journey. So it's like every client that I work with or I see or that works with us at TripAdvice, I see myself inside of them. So it's almost as if like I'm helping myself over and over and over. I don't know. Maybe it is in a way kind of selfish, this weird therapeutical thing. But that's how it all started. Was I wanted to learn how to meet women. I wanted to learn how to find a great relationship. I wanted to learn how to have choice in dating. Women at default have a lot of choice, especially now because of online dating. They have a ton of options. Guys just don't have a lot of options. They have to really create a lot of value and they have to work really hard to get those options. So because of that, just like myself, I just didn't have those options. And it was a strong desire within me to be able to fix that issue. And it wasn't something where, you know, one day I knew it was a desire and then I fixed it. It's like it was a internal battle of many years of getting to the point where I could even figure out that it was something that you could fix. I didn't even know that was possible. There was a book that came out in 2005 called The Game. It was like this crazy bestseller. I read it like 3 times, and it was about this guy who was a pickup artist, and he taught other guys how to be able to meet women. And it was really eye-opening, not just for myself, but for the other millions of guys who read that book, was that there was an actual practice that you could do to actually attract women, even if you weren't like a technically good looking guy or a super successful guy. And so that blew the minds of millions of guys, including myself. And so from that book, it was kind of this crazy spiral that I went into of like learning all this stuff and seeing what else was out there and trying to make that happen for me. Could I be a guy like these guys I read in the book that could go and attract a woman and have confidence to do it? And it was very hard. And so I had to put myself through this personal journey in my early 20s, being 37 now, to learn how to meet women and become confident in myself. That's the long story short. I went to like different seminars. I met with like a group of guys who were also learning this stuff. We were going out in LA and talking to women and learning how to meet women, and it was just this really fun yet strenuous yet anxious yet crazy time in my life that really attributes to then creating TripAdvice, because I ended up learning all this stuff and then it ended up working. And I was like, well, if it can work for a guy like me who is deathly afraid to go up to a girl and say hello, I know this can work for other guys. And I created and have a way of explaining it to guys that I believed can be really easy for them to understand and then also get results. Because I feel like when I was learning this stuff, I didn't really connect with a lot of the other gurus at that time that were out there. I didn't really like what they were saying. It was very kind of weird pickup-y stuff, and it just, some stuff was good, some stuff wasn't. You just had to pick through and find. And I was like, I bet I can help guys and do it in a way where they can go through all my material and not feel like this is weird or creepy or like it's being some weird version of themselves. And so that was kind of my whole thing in terms of what I decided to create.
That's really been something I've resonated a bit, and I've been attracted to your content and messaging, is that it's focused, at least from my perspective, it's focused on the development of the man first. It's not these tactics and tips like, here's 3 words you need to say, like whisper in your ear, a body language, or how to wear a crooked hat, or any of these things. It's like maybe some of that stuff is deeper in there, but the core message I'm getting from a lot of your work is like, you're doing this for you. Like, you need to become the man that the woman that you're looking for is looking for. Am I correct in kind of my assessment of your approach? So I guess what are some of the biggest mistakes that guys are making, or the limiting beliefs that they hold from the beginning that are preventing them from attracting or finding or meeting the right woman?
I think the biggest limiting belief is just thinking that there's these leagues and you're out of a woman's league. I mean, in a sense, you could be, because an average guy might not be able to attract, let's say, a Victoria's Secret model, because she's going to go for someone who has status. But that's an extreme example. But I mean, a guy will just kind of walk down the street and see a cute girl and go, that girl's never going to like me. I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not rich enough, or I'm too short. Just all these limiting beliefs that prevent them from even trying. And I think that's the problem there, is that, to answer your other question too, is like, one of the biggest mistakes is like, well, this limiting belief lends itself to the mistake of guys not really putting enough effort into it. I think a lot of guys they almost act like women, in the sense where they're like, well, I guess it will just kind of happen. And for a woman, well, it's much easier for it to happen to her, because she can start an online profile and get a ton of people swiping on her. She can walk down the street or go to a bar or go wherever and have guys hitting on her. So yeah, for her, it's way more likely to happen. For a guy, it's just not. And then what happens? Well, maybe you end up finally getting a date with the woman who you're like, oh, you convince yourself that she's good enough for you. You like her. You're not really filtering properly. So you end up in a relationship, or a terrible marriage, that you were just like, man, I could have avoided all of this if I just created more choice and I was able to meet more women, so I didn't have to settle. So I feel like the limiting belief, and it lends itself to the mistake of not putting in the proper work and then having to settle, or not, right? Or you just become this guy who's super super lonely, and you don't have female attention, and you feel terrible about yourself, and it just becomes, I don't want to get too dark, but just the reality is like, there's a lot of lonely guys out there. I mean, I've had guys who have written on my YouTube comments like, thanks, man. I was thinking of committing suicide until I found your videos. Like, what? I mean, it wasn't even too shocking to me when I read that. I was like, yeah, of course. But to paint the picture of, this is not just like, oh, I just want to get laid. And maybe for some guys it is, and that's fine. I don't really care. But for a lot of guys, it's even more than that. It's, I want to experience connection with the opposite sex that I'm attracted to. And it can get real dark for many guys if they don't have that. And it's a lot of work to get to that point.
Yeah, you asked me the question when I was on your show, like what are these guys coming to me for? And it was like, they're coming for help because they're suffering, and they're suffering oftentimes in silence, in isolation. They're struggling with that self-esteem, that self-confidence, because they keep returning back to this behavior that they know is not in alignment with who they want to be. So I'm going to assume that the guys that are coming to you are probably in a very similar state of mind as to the men that are coming to me. And it's like you're helping them in one area of their life, like confidence, communication, how to find, attract, meet women. I'm sure there's design elements, like how to actually make yourself look presentable. Whereas like I'm helping these guys realize like you're worthy beyond these pixels on a screen. Like when you begin to build more productive habits, like we take a very self-development approach to our work.
It's all connected. You know what I'm saying? It's all connected. It's like I found that yeah, there are things you can do to like attract women and not really have your life together. But the woman's not going to stick around. So that's the problem there. But it is all connected. It's like you want to and I teach this stuff. It's like you want to become the best version of yourself. Self-actualization. So you want to grow into the person that you were capable of becoming. That's, we'll say, a better version or a more actualized version, a more productive version, just because you're going to have a more fulfilling life. You're going to feel good about you. You're going to feel good about life in general. You're going to enjoy waking up every day. And then if you can become that guy, your choice of women will go up drastically. You'll be able to attract way more women. So you want to do it for yourself, and then the byproduct of that is going to be meeting women. In the book that you just showed a second ago, Magnetic, I break it down more specifically. I break it down to what's called inner qualities and outer qualities. So your inner qualities is like your behavior, and your outer qualities are your looks, your lifestyle, um, how many friends you have, where you live, things like that. And so your health, right? It's like, so you want to be working on your outer qualities forever. Like there's always stuff that can be worked on and also maintained. And that's going to help you become a great version of yourself and a very attractive version of yourself. And I like to say, we don't do that for women. We do that for us. The byproduct is women. But you still need what I call inner qualities, certain and specific behaviors that are going to be attractive to women. And those behaviors are going to be the ones that some guys know, confidence, charisma, being able to flirt, build tension with a woman, being able to be dominant and lead, some of those things. And so we build those behaviors alongside of building the outer qualities, and we become this amazing version of ourselves that we never thought we could be. Like I never thought I would get to this point when I was younger, when I was in my, I don't know, teens and college years, like marrying the girl of my absolute dreams. I mean, who's beautiful inside and out, and running a successful business, and just super into health and feeling like healthy all the time and feeling energetic. And I was always interested in personal development to some degree. I never thought I could really get there. And for me and for a lot of guys, it kind of always starts with women. It's like that's a very carnal desire, as you know. And so we tend as men to try to work on that first. So you'll get a lot of guys who might find my material, my podcast, my YouTube channel, my book, whatever, and then they'll learn how to meet women, and then they'll succeed. And then they go, well, whoa, that was hard. And I accomplished that. Let's keep this train going. Like, what else can I do? Let's get into fitness. Let's get into health. Let's work out. Let's make more money in our careers. Let's start a business. Let's make money online. Like this wonderful butterfly effect or domino effect, whatever you want to call it, that spins its way into just becoming this awesome version of yourself. It's pretty cool.
Well, that confidence, it has a crossover, right? When you begin to become confident in one area of life, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I can find the confidence here in approaching a woman, which was the biggest barrier, the biggest thing I was afraid of, then getting in shape, getting six pack doesn't seem as scary. Then maybe launching the side business doesn't seem as scary. That's been the same byproduct with me as well. I started January 28th, 2020 was the first two clients we took on at Rebuild Recovery. Quickly though, months, like less than 3-4 months into this, like these guys are getting raises at their work. They're developing deeper intimacy. They're beginning to go out and serve their community. Many of them are getting healthier. And I'm like, wow, I thought I was going to help them with porn. Really, I'm just helping them become better men. And then as you become a better man, it's like you kick out the childish behaviors. Curious who Tripp was in high school.
Oh, Tripp was So I called myself later on in life the friend zoned nice guy. So I was really good with women in high school, really, really good with getting them to be my friend, really, really bad with them seeing any more than that. So I was friend zoned constantly because I was doing it all wrong, meaning trying to get them attracted. I didn't know what I was doing. And, um, and so I say also nice guy because I had a lot of nice guy tendencies that did not allow me to be attractive to women as well. I was always the friend, the shoulder to cry on. Yeah, the guy to hang out with and text, but only as a friend. So that's who Tripp was in high school. And then I remember, I'll tell you a quick story because I think it's funny. I remember, so I always wore glasses. I still wear glasses, but I wore glasses uh, solely from all the way up to 21 years old or 20 years old. And when I was a sophomore in college, or maybe a freshman, whenever around there, I finally got contacts, and something happened. Like I built a lot of confidence through just that little move. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Like I thought I looked better. I didn't even really get a lot of validation. It wasn't like people were like, "Wow, Tripp, you look a lot better without glasses." I don't know. I just felt more attractive, and so it gave me a little bit of a boost. And so I had some like random hookups with girls in college, and never had any girlfriends. Or actually, I did have one girlfriend in college in the first 2 months, and then she like cheated on me and dated my friend. Terrible. Again, friend zone, nice guy. But so I had a little bit of success in college, but none that I was very proud of. I wasn't really with women that I was with women that I thought I deserved. So I was just, your normal early 20 something dude doing your random college hookups because, you drink and sometimes that happens. And hopefully you get a little bit of confidence. And I had a little bit of confidence from alcohol and not having these, wiry glasses that I was wearing that I thought made me look like a nerd. And so there was a little bit of a shift there. But then that hit a ceiling real fast because I didn't know what else to do at that point. I was like, okay, this is it. This is all I can attract. These are the only women that I can be with. And then to connect to previous story I told earlier was that's when eventually I read that book, The Game, and learned that you can learn it, and then it started to take off from there. But yeah, that's a little bit of a history of myself. I didn't hate myself. I wasn't suicidal or anything too dark, but I was not a super confident guy, and I had to really grow into that in my 20s and then even into my 30s as well.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. I want to dive maybe into some of these. You talked about the inner qualities and the outer qualities. We've done a lot of conversations around the inner stuff, right? Belief, confidence, character development. We have a 12-month mastermind that we offer that's built around 11 character virtues, things like respect, honor, responsibility, taking a deep dive into understanding how the definition of these are, how they show up, given men kind of frameworks. I want to talk maybe more with you about some of the outer stuff. So when it comes to a guy's looks, like what are some of the things that he needs to be aware of, focusing on, and what are some of the quick, like real actionable stuff that maybe a guy listening to this can begin to kind of implement today?
Okay, so I just want to make sure before I get into this that I'm not super hypocritical right now because I am the most unshaven I've been for a long time, but I will explain why. I'm currently in Tulum, Mexico with my wife, and we've been here, and it has just been this wonderful, freeing experience where I'm just kind of letting go in a way where I can just be more free, and it just feels good to do that and to have that break from always being super clean shaven and always looking my exact best. Like you can see, like, my hair is kind of a mess and I'm wearing just like this t-shirt. So just know that I'm in a space right now where I'm allowing that to happen. I'm conscious of that and I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying that. Okay. But
Well, you
anyway,
also you've also married the dream woman, right? So you're no longer on the hunt. And I'm curious if these things
yeah, but you
change
got to be
once we,
careful about that. You got to be
okay.
careful. Like she likes the scruff, and I know
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And so if she ever said to me something along the lines of she just didn't find it attractive, I would take note of that. And I would make sure it's like, oh, okay, well, she enjoys clean shaven. Of course, I don't want to do everything for her. I want to be able to do things for myself too. But if it doesn't matter to me, but I learn, oh, my partner likes it when I have a beard or clean shaven and I don't care. Well, why wouldn't I not? Why wouldn't I do the thing that makes her attractive to me? I would want my partner to do the same thing if I had certain things that were things that I found attractive. You know what I mean? So for me, I know in this scenario, it's not big of a deal. But when I give guys advice and I tell them to look their best, here's appearance wise. So first few things is one, you want to go to a stylist and you want to spend anywhere from like 50 to $100 on a stylist, meaning don't go to your super cuts or quick cuts or whatever those $10 haircut things are, and they just kind of get you in and out. You want to go somewhere with a specialist who knows how to make your hair look the best. Even if you're thinning or you're bald, they'll just know what to do. That's their job. And of course, you, in order to find that person, you got to spend a little bit more money than you might be used to do that. That's why I say like 50 to $100 to that specifically to get that kind of hairstyle. So we'll work top down. And then after that, in terms of your beard, some guys can't grow a beard. I recommend if they can't grow a beard, if it's kind of patchy, comes in and uneven in a lot of places, you really just want to go clean shaven. You're just going to look the best that way. It doesn't look good when, only your jawline has hair. And then as you move up from there, it thins out. It's like you're going to look better when it's just clean shaven. And then a guy like myself, I can grow a beard. I know other people who can grow beards. Still, you want to stay to, again, of course, I know that there are women out there who love big beards and love that. Like, I understand there's exceptions, but I want to teach guys how to be attractive to as many women as possible. So I want to give them a larger pool so they have more opportunities. That's why if you can grow a beard, you want to keep it pretty tight. Keep some stubble on there. Learn, you go on YouTube and you can learn very fast just how to trim it properly so you get that perfect line that goes along your jaw. And so then it looks, really smooth. Unlike what you're seeing now where it's just like all over the place. So that's going to make everything look better with
Yeah,
your
you don't want
face.
you don't want the chest to neck extension. You don't want it connected
No,
from the chest hair to the throat.
ideally not. Ideally not, right? And you also, if you have to wear glasses, men look better when the frames are very thick. So if you have to wear glasses, thick frames looks the best. It's hard to explain why. I don't know. Like, you ever look at men who are like in their 50s or 60s, they have these kind of like nice thick frames. They look more intellectual. It just looks nice on them.
Masculine. There's structure to them as well.
Yeah,
think.
I would
Yeah.
say so. I would say so.
Yeah,
And
Earl Nightingale from like the 20s. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen any of his old stuff. He's like the original kind of self development guru. Wicked voice, like it's powerful. But he's got all these old videos shot in black and white, and he's got these thick square frames, and like in his
Yep,
suit,
I
it
just
just
looked it
looks
up.
like all put together, man.
Sharp,
Yeah,
sharp. Yeah, exactly. And then, but if you can help it, I think people generally look better without glasses. So contacts is the way to go. So contacts is just, I don't know. It just looks more. It looks better if you can help it. Okay. So, and then in terms of like what you wear, to start off, wearing clothes that fit you and that have neutral colors, you can't go wrong. So neutral colors are gray, black, and white. So if you have a mixture of clothes on, let's say you have like black jeans and a white t-shirt and a black jacket, and it all fits you really well, I don't care what brand it is, like, you're just going to look good. If you do that little tweak, plus the tweaks I told you with your face and what's happening above the neck, like, you're going to look super attractive, and that could all take 1 week. Now, you can go down a whole rabbit hole of fashion and things like that. And that's totally fine too. If someone is interested in that, I think that a great way to do that, a quick way to do that, besides hiring a stylist, go to Pinterest, type in men's styles and then the year. It's like men's style 2023 or trendy men's style 2023, whatever it is. You'll end up getting some cool ideas. You can buy stuff online, but you'll notice something interesting. Whenever you do that, you tend to see a lot of neutral colors. You see a lot of whites, a lot of blacks, a lot of grays. I don't know. Men just look better in that. So there's also a lot of browns and blues as well. But anyway,
Now, is it good for a guy to kind of have, like, obviously based off of these principles and utilizing the neutral colors, like, I don't want to say a look, but we were talking about the marketing stuff before, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Kennedy's work. Dan's got the famous line: "Those that got recognizable facial hair, facial features will make more money." It's like, if you're putting content out into the internet, it's like you want to have something that people are going to remember you by, right? Like Frank is always going to have a hat on. Frank is going to he's rocking a mustache. Frank has an earring, hanging from his left ear. It's like people see that once, they see it again, they're like, "Oh, that's that guy we remember." It's the same thing kind of with your fashion. Are you trying to blend in with the modern fashion, but also have something where you kind of stand out at the same time? It's like, that is Tripp's look, or that's Frank's look.
yeah, okay. So there's a few things to say on that. So yeah, that would be sure. That'd be awesome if you can pull that off and figure out what that is. Then more power to you. But what I've learned is that when it when it becomes when things take a little bit more work, people tend to give up pretty fast. So I would say master the art of looking just good first. And once you get that down, then you can think about, hey, do I want to make myself look unique? Do I want to throw in a mustache? Do I want to be wearing certain kind of clothing that makes me a little bit different? Like, sure, yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
can totally do that and that could work for you. But don't start there because it might be too complicated.
Got
And
it.
also,
Too big of an
also,
undertaking.
yeah, it can be too big of an undertaking and then nothing happens. Small steps. And also what happens is if you if you end up doing some of the advice that I told you, you're not going to be blending into the crowd as much as you think you are. Most guys, I don't believe, know how to dress well. Most guys do not know how to put themselves together. And so if you can learn that, you will actually be standing out. Yes, there are plenty of guys who know how to dress well and look their best, but they're in a minority. So I want to get guys to that place. You know what I'm saying? So like one thing I've been doing a lot lately is wearing more suits. Of course, not on this interview, but if you check out like some of my YouTube lives and things like that, I really put a lot of time and effort into getting like a really nice suit that fit really well with a good white button down where the collar sticks out nice and it just looks super sharp. And it took me even a while to get to that point. And you would look at me, you wouldn't be like, wow, that's so unique. Like it's just a blue suit. It's nothing that special, so to speak, but still that look took a while and still looks good. So start small, get to a point, and then it will start working for you. And then you can move into some of the specialty areas.
Yeah. I remember in my early 20s, man, I was like, I probably had a 3-year subscription to both GQ and Men's Health. Like, this is early 20s, 22, 23. Like, I'm reading all these things on fashion, like how to, I was wearing suits back then. So the combination between, the striped shirt, the checkered tie, like the pocket square, how to tie all these things. One thing that I remember like really stood out to me was the importance of shoes. Like, I don't think women are consciously doing this, but if they look at a man's shoes and they're dirty and they're torn soles and it's like they haven't been kept, like a part of her is like, this dude can't even take care of his shoes. It's the same thing as a car, right? Like if your car is a mess, like it's usually a reflection that other things in your life aren't a mess. So how much focus and time is spent on, like, I don't really think focus shoes, but yeah, what are your thoughts around like what I
Well,
just said
all
there?
of it. I think your shoes are just as important. You can have the great shoes, but if everything from ankle up looks like crap, then what's the
Yeah,
difference, right?
wrinkled pants, crease. Like
Yeah,
it's got to be put together. Like it's got to be put together, but not to the point where it's like this dude took 3 hours to put the outfit on. It's like
yeah,
he's
and I think
paying
I think
attention to the
most
small
guys
details.
exactly. Most guys will just put gym shoes on because it's easy, or sandals because it's easy. But in order to look good, there's plenty of other options of shoes that you could wear that are, by the way, not even necessarily your typical brown or black leather shoe that you could wear that are just going to look really good. Here's another tip on fashion. Here's a really cool thing. This is what I teach my clients. If you're lost and you want to look good and you just don't know where to start, even now I'm saying to you some tips and you're like, yeah, okay, black, white, gray, fitted, okay, but I still don't really know what to do. Go to depending on your budget, right? So figure out what your budget is. What do you want to spend on clothes? Do you want really nice clothes? Or are you okay with spending like on cheaper. I don't know. Everyone's has their different financial situation. So figure out what that is. And then I want you to go to a, depending on what your budget is. So let's say if you have a low budget, H&M or Zara, right? That's like low budget. If you have a higher budget, you might go to like Nordstrom's, Bloomingdale's, something like that. Okay, so we'll say those are your two options. Go into there, find one of the people working. If you can, try to find a female. I know this sounds a little sexist against men here, but women tend to know style very well. Again, if you can't find a female, it's not the end of the world, but just try to find a female who's working and say this line: hey, I have this amount of money to spend and I need a few items and I want to look cool. That's it. I know that sounds like a silly, almost childish thing to say, but two things are going to happen. One, the woman is going to think that is really endearing. She's going to think it's awesome that there's this guy who just like wants to look good. So she's going to really be excited to help you. And two, it's specific enough where she's going to know how to help you. Like she understands, like once a guy says like, oh, I want to look cool, this is how much money I have to spend, she's going to know how to help you right away. So whether you're going into, that kind of lower end fast fashion kind of place, like an H&M, Zara, whatever exists at the time, or like a Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's kind of thing where it's a little bit nicer, whatever your budget is, those are your two options. Do that. And you're almost guaranteed to walk away with some items that's going to make you look good.
Yeah, and the good thing with a lot of these classical staples, right, is like you get a couple nice black solid t-shirts, button downs, polos, like those have crossover. It's like you can wear them to a coffee shop, you can wear them to a bar, to a restaurant, you could even wear them to a nice event. It's like timeless pieces, like stay with you forever. I mean, I have shirts that I've been wearing for, at this point, I mean, I'm not the same size, so probably 4, 5, 6 years. It's like these things, when you find the right fit, they become timeless, right? It's like you don't need to be recycling this week over week over week. So we got the look down. So once a guy like feeling fresh, feeling sharp, I want to get into maybe some of the tactical like approach side of things. Maybe we kind of circle back on the online stuff, but what are some of the ideal places for men to meet and find women? And what are some of those first, I don't want to give guys opening lines, but how do you, if you're out there and you're trying to approach, what are some of the first things that like a guy needs to understand?
No, let's do it. Let's give him an opening line. I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
So best places to go to meet women in person, so not online, are going to be the places either in your area where there's heavy foot traffic. So that can be a tourist attraction, tourist area. That can be shopping areas are really popular. So for example, like in LA, where is there a lot of foot traffic? The 3rd Street Promenade. If you're in Chicago, where is there a lot of foot traffic? The Magnificent Mile, Michigan Avenue. If you're in New York, well, almost all of New York has
everywhere in New York, yeah.
But there's some places that might make more sense, like maybe not the financial district, but maybe you're going to go to like Soho or something like that. There's definitely places in your town that are going to have more foot traffic. You can just go there and start conversations. Now you can also, I like to talk to kind of everyone here. Some people hate going to the bars and don't like to go to clubs. That's fine. Take my advice on what I just said in terms of the popular places to go to in your city, but you can also find events on Facebook or Meetup or just Google. I mean, really just Googling like what's happening in your city today. A lot of stuff pops up and you can see things that are going on, attend those events and start conversations. I also do recommend though, to go to bars and to go to clubs. Those are great places to go. There's women there who are single, who want to meet other guys. Not all of them are bad quality. You can absolutely meet a good woman there if you want to, or if you're just looking to hook up. I mean, absolutely, that's a place to go to. Your opening line doesn't have to be complicated. My advice is to stick with one line and just repeat it over and over and over. Women don't need a fun opening line. They need the energy and charisma that come behind it. So they need a guy not to necessarily be funny and witty in the first 2 seconds, but just a way to introduce yourself. And also there's more room for error with pickup lines because that's not going to work 100% of the time. It's going to potentially get you rejected and be cheesy. Now, that's not to say if you used a normal line, you wouldn't get rejected. Of course you can too, but I just think there's more room for error, and you might not be confident to even say it automatically because you're still learning how to go out and meet women. So really, there's no special pickup line. You can just go and introduce yourself. And I would want a guy to go out and do that 100 times before they say, that doesn't work, I need something more special. Because I bet you most guys have not done that. So if someone's out there thinking, that sounds lame, I can't just go up to a girl and introduce myself or say hello, try it and see what happens. Now, of course, you want to practice it. You want to look your best. It might not just work right away. It's a numbers game. It takes volume. But if you're looking your best, if you come up with confidence to a woman and say, hey, 2 seconds, I wanted to come meet you, and you just start conversation, that's going to be a better approach than 80% of guys who've ever approached her. And listen, some women are just not going to like you. They maybe won't like the way you look. They aren't attracted to you physically. They just got out of a relationship. They're in a bad mood, yada, yada. You might get rejected. It's possible. It happens. But the idea is, if you put yourself out there to more women, you're giving yourself more opportunities to find one that will be interested. So sometimes just in starting conversations is actually enough.
So it's a volume play, and I think that's where today something like the online dating is. I mean, it's a huge market, right? So what are your thoughts around guys getting online? Like if they're struggling with meeting women in person, like is the immediate move to get online, or they need to build the confidence in person first, and then you use online as a supplementation to that?
You need to be doing both at the same time. If you're a person who's looking to meet more women, you should be going out and taking time to meet women in person. You should be going out and you should be online and setting up the best profile possible. And then you should be spending a lot of time swiping and a lot of time going out and talking to women. And when I say a lot of time, I don't mean like 20 hours a week. But I bet you most guys aren't doing enough of it. Some guys come to me and they say, oh, I'm not really getting any matches. I'm like, how much are you swiping? They're like, I don't know, 10 minutes a day. Like 10, that's nothing. You should be doing 30 to an hour a day. But you also need the best profile. And most guys don't really take the time to set up a great profile because you can literally just do it real fast. Like you have the opportunity to do it fast. So most guys just take that option. You just take some photos, selfie, put them on there, write a bio, and boom, you're on. But that is not necessarily going to get you the results. So I do recommend that guys spend the money and invest in themselves and get really good pictures. Spend at least a couple $100s on getting professional photos, because those are going to make you look your best, and that's going to be one of the most important items on your profile to get more matches.
Really? So you recommend like hiring out a photographer and getting professional photos done?
100%.
Are these studio headshots, or are these almost like candid style photos that you're having a professional take with a high quality photo, like the high quality camera, and then doing the touch ups? Like, okay, so it's okay to have like a professional headshot in a online dating profile.
It depends. It depends. I mean, it looks better when you're outside lighting, not with a backdrop, in like a suit and tie. It looks better when you can be in a suit and tie, nice clothes, but just outside, a little more casual, or like, it can be inside too if the lighting is good and the photographer knows what they're doing and there's some depth to the picture. It's not just you against a white wall. If you search in your city online dating photographers, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll know exactly. You'll see. Like you can see the difference between a good picture and a bad picture, what you think is a good picture. And then all of a sudden you see their pictures and you go, wow, yeah, that person looks good. Okay, I get it now, right? So I don't want to say, no, you can't have like headshots, like business headshots. Some photographers can do really amazing, not bland business headshots and make it look really good. But you'll find that a lot of the online dating photographers are not really doing most of that. It's better to have some depth, right? So depth is going to happen when you're in a room, you're outside, you can see things going on behind you a little bit. And yeah, let them do the work. But I want to be careful when I say not every photographer is equal. So you might have to do it a few times, or you might have to get an expert like myself and my team who knows what looks good. So we help guys hire a photographer. We pick one out for them, and then we pick out the photos for them because we know what looks good. We know what kind of photo is going to get the best results. So if you want to hire someone to help you and take out the guesswork, that will get you faster results. But worst case scenario, first thing is hire a photographer who specializes in online dating portraits.
Yeah. So we got style, right? We got the attraction, we got the look down. We know where to go. High volume places, high traffic. Don't come up with these cheesy lines, something classic, smooth, have the confidence, charisma behind that. On the online side of things, have presentable photos, put some time and energy into writing the profile, into looking attractive. What are some of the places men shouldn't go to? Like, what are some of the areas like you shouldn't be looking and approaching women? And then what are some of the absolute don'ts on a profile?
Where they shouldn't go, geez, I really think my answer is there is nowhere you shouldn't go.
Okay.
I can't imagine anyone telling me a place where they went. I said, don't go there. It's like, and well, okay, actually, I'll say this. I don't want guys to necessarily only go to places that have low volume. So, like trying to meet women just at the gym or like at a yoga class, or, you know, I want guys to do that. And that's a great place to meet women, but don't only do that. That becomes a problem because then your volume is really low and you're only meeting a couple of women, where you want to be like tripling to quintupling that amount of women you're talking to. So don't go to places that have low volume if you're only going to those places. And then you said, what was the next question?
On the profile, like what are some of the absolute don'ts on a profile?
Don't be negative. Don't say anything that's complaining. Don't say anything that's too generic. So try to be more specific. Don't say I'm a foodie. It's like, yeah, everyone's a foodie. What kind of food do you really enjoy? And where do you like to enjoy it? That's more specific and interesting. So don't be generic, and don't be negative. Those would be my first and most important tips for the profile, specifically for the written portion.
Talk about your coaching. You mentioned it here a couple times. Like, obviously these are coming for help with women, but ultimately, what are these guys coming for? What's the process look like? Are you working with them through like a 6-month kind of program? Is it a year long? Like a little bit of details and specifics around the work that you actually do.
We have a few different options. Our minimum amount of time working together is 6 weeks, but we have options all the way up to 3 months, and then we can create ones that are longer. But it's always good to start with about 6 to 12 weeks. We believe in one-on-one coaching here. So we don't have any group coaching courses or classes. We want you to get the most hands-on help that you can. And that's how we're able to get guys such fast results. So just know that if you come to work with Tripp Advice, you get a dedicated one-on-one coach that is an expert and fully trained in all ways of meeting and attracting women online and in person. So throughout the weeks that you'll be working with your coach, and by the way, the coach that you're with, you do calls with them every week, and you have unlimited texting with them. So you have a dedicated coach assigned to you to be with you, and you have full access and attention on you for the full time that you're working together. This is not some mass corporation where we just get as many guys as we can involved to make the most profit.
Yeah.
We really take our time and we really give a lot of attention and a lot of care. And so that generates really awesome results for guys who are able to finally meet women that they are attracted to, having more choice, getting a girlfriend, losing their virginity, being able to have a bunch of women that they can just be going on dates with whenever they want, hooking up with whenever they want, right? Ways to avoid sitting in front of a computer and going on porn sites, right? Actually being in front of women that you want to be with. We make that become a reality for guys. We teach them how to have the best profile online to do that, and how to meet women in person. Even if you're shy or don't feel like you can ever do that, we teach you how to do it. There's no prerequisite for coming into the program. You don't need to have any knowledge or expertise or experience with women whatsoever. We will get you there. And also we work with guys on the advanced end too, who maybe they get a few dates already, but they can't really move those to second or third dates. So we take all levels and we guide you through each step of the way.
All right, guys. So it looked like we lost Tripp there. He was filming this from an apartment in Tulum. So there was some spotty Wi-Fi in and out through the conversation, but really enjoyed this conversation with Tripp. We do apologize, guys, that it cut a little bit short there at the end, but hopefully got value out of this. Hopefully you got some real practical tips, whether you're struggling with having the confidence to go out there and talk to women, whether you're struggling with building a profile, you're struggling with actually becoming the best version. Tripp's message, just like ours, is in order to overcome these fears, in order to build the self-confidence, you got to start by keeping those promises you make to yourself, and you got to pursue constant growth. You got to pursue continuous improvement. You need to become the best version of yourself. And by becoming the best version of yourself, you're going to be able to attract and find the best possible woman and partner within your life, guys. So make sure you connect with Tripp Advice on YouTube, Tripp Advice on Instagram. Make sure to find out or check out his book, Magnetic. We'll link it down there in the show notes there below. But hopefully you guys got value out of this conversation. If you're getting and enjoying these shows, guys, make sure to continue to support us by leaving a 5-star rating, whether it's on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're consuming these podcasts. But for Frank Rich, guys, we really hope you enjoyed today's conversation. God bless you guys, and we'll see you next week.